Hey, this is Leilani Haywood, and I manage social media for Higherlife Publishing and Marketing. And I am so excited that I get to interview Al Smith. He's one of our authors. He wrote a book called Think Like a Pro, Act Like a Pro. He is a former National Football League player, former NFL player, an executive, author, and speaker with over 25 years of leadership experience. He learned discipline, structure, and values from his mother, and he continues to help people strive toward and achieve their goals. A former executive with the Tennessee Titans, NFL alumni president, and sports analyst, Al is currently director of player development at Vanderbilt University in Nashville. He was the current director during the writing of this book. So I am so excited to talk to you, Al. If, one of the things that when I was reading, I read like the first couple chapters of the book is I noticed about the importance of mentors, the importance of character. And you bring out your life growing up in LA and, the things that you've learned from growing up in LA to going to playing football, going into the pros. Tell us about yourself and why did you write this book?
Well, when you look at kind of where I grew up obviously, like you said, in Los Angeles, California. One thing about Los Angeles, you get a little bit of everything. It's called the City of Angels. I'm sure you've heard that phrase. And one thing about being in the City of Angels, you get the good, the bad, the ugly. You see everything. I mean, nothing surprises you when you come from California because you see it all. But one thing about coming from there and being from the City of Angels, so to speak, I was very fortunate to have some guardian angels, and being able to have those guardian angels to be able to kind of look after me, to guide me, to lead me, to keep me from going in the wrong direction. I was very fortunate to have a brother who was a good a role model because of the fact that, he's a couple years older than me. He was a good student. He was a good athlete, good looking guy, and all those things like that. So he was able to kind of show me, or I had a live experience of seeing someone of, what to emulate. Someone to, people always look for mentors and things like that. But when you grow up with someone that you can kind of model yourself after, even though somebody, siblings go at each other all the time, as you know, but at the same time, it's a situation where when you do have someone that you can follow and that you would like to be like, or, when they get good grades, you want good grades. When they do well in sports, you want to do well in sports. When they are looked at in high regard, you want to be looked at in high regard. So having that was a great positive for me because of the fact that, coming from, because where I came from, because of the fact that, you could have went different ways. So having that opportunity to be around that and having a mother who was kind of a straight and narrow person as far as had a quiet strength as far as leading. Father was in the home, but mother was more the vocal one. Father was kind of the silent, strong type. But at the same time, my mother was very influential as far as that and how to conduct yourself. But at the same time, doing it with grace and doing it with great humility and all those type of things like that. So when you see that in the home, it gives you a chance outside of the home. So I was able to have some of that in-house to where I was able to kind of see, how to conduct yourself outside of the house as well.
Okay. And you mentioned Colonel Hughes.
Yes.
As a
yes.
mentor.
When Colonel Hughes was a big mentor to me because of the fact that I went to a Catholic school. I grew up in Catholic schools. That was kind of more or less to keep you out of trouble back in those days. You go to Catholic school, but at the same time, in high school, which were those great formative years, he was a colonel in the Army,
Okay.
He was a former colonel in the Army, a very imposing figure. A tall man. He's bald head. He was very imposing for a high school student. So what he said, obviously, he ran a tight ship. With the school, with the students. It doesn't matter if you're an athlete or non-athlete or whatever. Everyone followed the same rules and all those type of things like that. But he saw something in me that I didn't even see in myself at that time, and was able to kind of guide me and make sure I was doing well in class, make sure I do well, on the field, and making sure that, I stayed out of trouble and all those type of things like that. So having that at that age, and having an assistant principal who was a lady, short lady, was more of the bulldog type. She was kind of like the sergeant at arms. She would enforce all of the initiatives from the colonel, so to speak. So it was a great 1-2 punch where you couldn't have an avenue to go outside of the realm of the structure. A lot of times people will go around somebody to get to somebody they can get away with. Well, they had a good 1-2 punch where you didn't have that, and was able to have those type of individuals in my life from home to school. So a lot of times you may get it at home, but once you get away from home, then you kind of get off track because of the fact that the people that whether you're hanging around with, or even some of the adults that you're with, or at the school, you get off track. And I was able to have kind of like a checks and balances where when I was away from home, I still had that structure, because I wasn't able to play sports if I didn't do well in school. It was a lot different than if you didn't do well in school, you weren't going to play. I don't care if you're a starter team or not the starter team, or whatever the case may be, which was a good thing because it let everybody know where they stood. So if you didn't do well, you weren't going to play. It was no gray area. It wasn't like, well, you're the best, you're one of the better players, or whatever the case may be, you're going to play, which looking back was the best thing that happened, not only to me, but, the other guys on the team or what have you, no matter what walk of life that you were going, because a lot of guys play high school, but that don't mean that you're going to play in college. That doesn't mean you necessarily go into pros and all those type of things like that. And at that time, it was just a matter of just being the best that you can be, on the field and off the field. And having Colonel Hughes, an individual like that was able to kind of step into my life and have that kind of strong figure, it gave me the opportunity to be able to kind of see what what that looked like, what discipline looked like. Being an ex-military guy as he was, you can see where that came from. The way he carried himself, the way he dressed, or the way he spoke. All those things carried over into his job as a principal, but at the same time, all of the students and faculty fell into place, and that was a good starting point to give me the opportunity to be able to go into the world, with some foundation.
So he sounds like he was a pretty tough guy.
Yeah, he was. Well, he was a tough guy, but tough when needed to be. He wasn't just like he wouldn't be tough. I mean, he's a nice guy, but tough when needed to be. Or if you push the envelope, or if you go down a road that you shouldn't go, or things like that, it was I would say a love-hate relationship. But at the same time, looking back, you respect. It was more of a respect than it was a fear and respect. You don't want to get on his bad side, but at the same time, you respect him enough that you don't want to get on his bad side. So it was kind of like, you don't want to get into any situation where you had to go to his office or had to feel his wrath, so to speak. So it kind of give you the opportunity, just like, the parent, that you don't want to get in trouble, you don't want to disappoint them, or you don't want to disappoint your father or your mother, or whatever the case may be. And it was that situation with him. And it was a great situation for me. And I needed that at that time as well, because those are those years where you kind of can, you get pulled in a lot of different areas.
Right.
And that was one of the areas that I needed discipline, because of the fact that I wanted the same discipline on the field as well as off the field.
So did you know that you were going to go pro, or was that like your dream growing up?
Well, no, at the time it wasn't. I mean, to be honest with you, at the time it wasn't my dream.
Really?
It was like, a lot of times you say kids, I always wanted to be pro and all those things like that. My goal was, I wanted to be able to get a scholarship. That was my goal in high school. I just wanted to be able to get a scholarship so that my parents didn't have to worry about the financial burden in college and things like that. So that was kind of like my initial goal. I just want to go to college. If I get to play in college, great. I finish college and just go on with my life. But as I developed, being around other individuals, mentorship, other athletes, following mentors and people that I want to be able to emulate. Like my brother was fortunate enough, he went to college. He played pro. So I was able to see those things and what they look like. I was able to see the picture and see what you had to do to get there. Well, you had to sacrifice to get there. So you have to decide, if you want to, what are you willing to sacrifice to get to that next level? And if you're willing to sacrifice some things, and that's what I was able to do. I was, able to see what it looked like, see what that next level looked like, see what being a college athlete looked like, seeing what a college student athlete looked like, and not separating the two, and understanding what being a student athlete meant, and not just being an athlete. And once I understood that both of those two things can coincide with each other, then it was able to make me go to the next level, because it's like you can be a student with without the athlete, but you can't be the athlete without the student. So being able to bring that two together and see that they can coincide, and to see that it even makes you even a better athlete by being a good student. It made everything even better once I understood the dynamics of that, and was able to taught that and shown that, oh, you can be both. It's okay to be both. It's not a curse to be both. You don't have to choose one or the other, but you can do both. And that was one of the things that I learned, in high school through Colonel Hughes, through other athletes, student athletes, or guys that were in college. So when I was in high school, I would emulate guys in college. When I was in college, I would emulate guys that were at the next level in the pros, and then kind of seeing how they operated, how they conduct themselves, what was their work ethic like, what was their mindset like, and understanding that the mental and the physical had to go together. You can't have one without the other. You can't be a good athlete and not have the brain and the fortitude and the perseverance and the work ethic and all those things, and not have those things to go with it.
So the combination is having that together.
Exactly.
Working together. That's the things that you learn to succeed in both worlds are a great foundation for business, or really for anything that you want to excel at in life, which is what you've captured in the book. What was your while you were writing the book, what would you say was your favorite chapter or favorite thing about the book?
Well, one of my favorite things or chapters about the book is character. One thing about character is that no matter who you meet, what walk of life they're in, once the character is revealed, you see who they are. And once you see who they are, you meet that person, that's their true self. And you can't hide that. You can't hide your character. And at some point it comes out. If you're around somebody long enough, they're going to show you who they are. And somebody can fool you in a first meeting, or maybe in a second meeting. But as you have a relationship with somebody, or have some kind of dialogue with somebody over time, that character comes out, and that shows who they truly are. And when they show you who they are, believe them. And I believe what you see. A lot of times people are like, oh well, I can change them, or well, no. I mean, that's they're showing you who they are. And a lot of people will try to ignore that information. They get information. I'm sure have met people in your life. You're like, they're not who you thought they were, or whatever the
Right.
case would be. And 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 one thing about the character of a person, they don't have to be the smartest person in the world. They have to be the most gifted person in the world. But if they have solid character, well, you can work with that. You can have a friendship. You can have a relationship with somebody that has good character, because I've always learned with character, you can teach somebody to be a journalist. You can teach somebody, some are better than others, but overall you can teach somebody how to be a journalist. But you can't teach somebody how to be a good person. You don't have that kind of time. If you're hiring somebody, you can teach them what you want them to do, but you don't have time to teach them how to be a good person, or to be respectful, or to be cordial, or whatever your values are that you have for your company, or for what you're trying to accomplish. So, with that, character has always been something that I was felt strongly about, because at the end of the day, whether it be a flood, whether you broke, you got money, broke, whatever the case may be, all those things do reveal more of who you are. I mean, if you're a bad person and if you got money, you're gonna be more of a bad person. So it's just kind of like, all you're doing is enhancing, what you are, by getting stuff. So, so no matter what you have, if that character is solid, in my opinion, is it's like you can work with that in business and in life, because I remember one time Coach Krzyzewski, the Duke coach, it was like he once said that Duke University, the basketball coach, he was like, when he hires his coaches, he's like to hire his former players or people who have been a part of the program, because they know the Duke way, so to speak. For somebody else to come in, they have to teach them how the Duke way is, and they may or may not fall in line with the Duke way, but he doesn't have time to teach them the Duke way, because of the fact that he's already have trained these individuals up through the program, so they understand what the values and the ideas and everything that the program has, and the history of the program. They already have the individuals in there to carry on that program. Even when he's not there, they still carry on the tradition of the program, as opposed to, as soon as he turns his back, someone who doesn't have the affiliation or the tradition or the understanding of the program could care less about the program. They just want the job, but they don't care about the program.
Okay.
And one thing about that, that resonates with me, because I feel the same way. You can always teach somebody what you want them to do, but you can't teach them how to be a good person.
Right. And it sounds like he's almost building a legacy, and
exactly
showing the value, the distinction of what he's built, the program that he's built that has produced success over and over and over again. So
exactly.
Yes, you want to duplicate that over and over again.
And then you understand that mindset, because you can bring somebody from the outside, just like you can look at resumes. Resumes are so impersonal. You can look at papers and resumes all day long, right? Well, this person had this, and then you bring them in, someone who may not have all the credentials, may be the most outstanding person once you meet them, and the person that has all these credentials, could be, the biggest whatever that you ever met.
Right.
And you're like, well, do you want that guy that may have a few more credentials, or you want somebody who's going to treat the customers well, have good customer service, treat fellow employees with respect, and carry on your brand and continue to build whatever brand that you're building, and they continue to build that brand. And I would rather have that person, because you can teach them whatever you want them to know, as opposed to someone who thinks they know everything and may have a few more credentials, but that person is going to alienate your team. He's going to alienate everyone else and be that cancer within your team structure. And the next thing you know, everything that you're trying to build is getting torn down right before your eyes, or behind your eyes, so to speak, or behind your back, and you don't realize it's being torn down because the camaraderie is down. Employees don't like each other all of a sudden. All this stuff is going on that you don't realize why the production is going down, because the morale is down.
That's why character is key, and why that when you have that character, you're thinking like a pro, when you're acting like a pro, when you are cultivating the importance of character. And I know, you, when we talked earlier, you said how like writing the book, I mean, it was a very extensive process. Why did you want to invest the time in writing the book? Why did you write the book?
Well, one of the reasons I wrote the book, I wanted to honor my my mother, who unfortunately had passed away. She had she ended up getting cancer, and it took her pretty fast. And one of the ways I wanted just to honor her, I felt like through the book, I was trying to figure out other ways that I could do it. I feel like, at the time, whether I sold a book or not sold a book, it wasn't, that wasn't the issue. It was more or less me being at peace. I'm doing this to honor her and her teachings and what I've learned and all those type of things, because I never thought I would write a book. But once I got into it and understood it, then I was like, hey, well, all these things started coming out, all this history, everything, and that you had built in you, started coming out. So I was able to kind of talk more about, all the things that she had instilled, and those values and things that, whether the character, because when you even look at character, what is character in most cases start at home.
So what is one thing you want the readers to take away from the book?
Well, I want them to take away that, well, they could be, obviously anything that, they want to be. I mean, you put the work in, being able to persevere, having the courage, having the humility, when you become successful, all those type of things, teamwork, being able to work with others. A lot of people are loners or whatever. A lot of people can't even have a conversation with another person, or let alone work. You can have companies that, people they don't interact with each other. You may have your department, this person have their department, and they only speak to certain people, but all departments work together, even in the sports. Even in the sports world, it's working with, with the teams. They have marketing, they have communications, they have business side, they have the football side, they have trainers, they have the yard, the field people. So you have so many different sponsorships and different areas, but they're not players, but they're a part of the team. They're not, they're still a part of the organization. Let's say here is the Tennessee Titans. Everyone's a part of that organization. Have security. You have all these different departments under this one umbrella, but everybody to see, when the team runs out there, that's all. You have coaches and trainers and all these other things. But for the team to be successful, everything has to come into play, because you have the travel people, the business, where the hotels they stay, with food they eat. Everybody has a role, because if somebody slips up and the buses aren't there to pick up the players to get to the game, I mean, everything blows up. So everyone has a role to play in success. They just see the end result. Okay, well, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won the Super Bowl. Well, they see the players and the trophy, and I see all that stuff, but they don't see everything to help get them to that point. Everything behind the scenes, the trainers keeping the players healthy, therapists, players go through the same thing that everyone else go through. I mean, they have family issues or what have you, but even with all those type of things, you still have to go out there in a high level and perform at a high level. And the 80,000 people in the stands, the millions of people watching on TV, They don't care that you just had an argument with your wife, or they don't care your kid is sick. They don't care that
Right.
your wife's in the hospital, or your mom is. They don't see all that going on. In most people's jobs, they go to their job, they go home, and nobody knows what they're going through. But when your life is on the stage like that, and they see your every move, every mistake you make, just think if somebody was at your job on your side, every mistake you made was the whole world knew. Every time you went to the bathroom, everyone knew. If you fumbled the ball, everybody knew. That's a different kind of pressure that you have to deal with, day in and day out. But at the same time, that's why everybody aren't able to do these type of jobs. But at the same time, you have to be resilient. You have to be tough. You have to be able to adapt, overcome all those type of things. And that's one of the things, with the book. I just want people to take all those different components of it and be able to take it into their daily lives, not just in the business, but in their daily lives. Because if you do that, it'll help you catapult yourself to a whole nother level as far as your overall growth as a person, because jobs come and go. But at the same time, the person in the mirror stays. Is it going to stay the same, or are you going to be able to adapt and adjust along the way?
Right. But so tell me about, like, how was it to work with Higherlife when you were working on the book? How was that experience?
It was a good experience. They did a good job as far as helping with the process, going over, the different steps along the way. Because, being my first time in this whole book experience, I didn't know what to expect. I spent a lot of time, obviously, with the ghostwriter, what have you, but then at the same time, along the way, Higherlife was able to kind of, help with that process. And Dave and those guys were able to kind of, help me along the way and give ideas, let me know if they thought I was on the right path or had good ideas. They had a team to kind of a think tank team to be able to kind of give feedback on whether it be a title of a book or certain lines or different things, of how that may resonate to the community, or how that may resonate to the audience, so to speak. Because you in your mind, your idea can be great, but how will the masses feel about that?
Right.
But
right.
I always felt like, think like a pro, everybody can renew their mind. Just like whether it be biblical or otherwise. You can't change until you renew your mind. You have to change your mindset before you change your situation, until you change the situation that you're in. Because if you keep the same mindset, you can't grow. And once you do that and be able to get that growth, that's why I was, came to that, think like a pro, act like a pro. And even whether it be on the field, well, if you act like an amateur, you probably go continue in that amateur status. So you have to, change that mindset, and be able to present yourself in the way that you would like others to see you.
It's good. And it sounds like your mom was the first pro.
She definitely was. She didn't take any stuff. She was pretty straight and narrow, but real solid and consistent with her teachings, and consistent with her discipline, and consistent in who she was. And when you have that, you get it. You understand. You understood it. And that's the one thing I miss, is being able to you can bounce an idea, and you can get a unfiltered, some honest feedback, and whether you kind of like the answer or not like the answer, but you can appreciate purity and honesty, and that's hard to come by these days. Somebody may tell you what you want to hear, may not want to hurt your feelings, or I really feel this way, but they don't tell you what they really feel, because they don't want you to react this way or react that way. But true uncut love, so to speak, if someone tells you, if somebody's honest with you, and you may not like what they say, but you can respect their honesty, I think that's invaluable. Well,
So,
this whole experience was a great experience for me. It helped me find out a lot about myself, in this journey, because it was a journey. Like you've done book, it's a journey, and a lot of times you don't know which way it's going to go, because when you start pulling, when someone started pulling, questions and things out that you never thought of, you have to kind of reevaluate the whole process. But I felt like this whole process not only helped me, but it was helping other people. I mean, everybody, whether it be like I said, teamwork, character, courage, perseverance, humility, all those type of things gives a person the opportunity to be successful, and no matter what their walk of life. It doesn't, you don't have to be an athlete or what have you. I mean, in your business life, and those same principles that I learned on the field, I transfer them offward. I didn't like every teammate. I didn't necessarily like every coach, but you have to be able to work with those individuals to be able to come together for a common goal to try to win a la a Super Bowl or a game or a conference championship or something. We all had to come together to accomplish this. I may not necessarily like you, but that at the same time, I respect you because I respect the fact that we're in this together to come together for this common goal. And with that, you have to respect your teammate. And that's one thing that's so great because, with teamwork, together everyone achieves more. Team together, everyone achieves more. You can get what you want. I can get what I want. We can all get what we want if we do this together.
We're working together. And that's why you should get the book, Think Like a Pro, Act Like a Pro. So go buy the book. Yeah. Highly recommend it. It'd be a great book, like even for, I know there's like business book clubs, where companies have a book club. That would be a great book for your company to go through, your business to go through, your book club. So yes, go buy the book. And so I appreciate your time, and go write another book.
It was a great process, and like I said, it was a great journey, with this book. With this book, formulating the book and everything, and just knowing that it has touched a lot of kids' lives already, and a lot of individuals who have read it, and which is a blessing to be able to touch some people's lives.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time.